I can't say I'm feeling optimistic about Arch. The optimist in me thinks that whatever he's going through, whatever slump he'll fix. But it's awful. I mean, we are 13th in the SEC in offense right now. 13th, and we have way too much talent. It's just it's not just Arch. It's our offensive line. It's our receivers. It's just like I don't know what's going on. I love Sarkisian. I love his story. I think he's done great things for the team. But it's just like what in the fuck is happening?
Looking forward to that A&M.
They'd whip our ass if we played that game today. Our ass would get whipped.
They do look good.
And they are. Look, we are a bunch of entitled, condescending assholes at Texas, and always have been, and always will be. But there is nothing more insufferable than an Aggie team on a win streak. I mean, I went to eat Mexican food. They beat Notre Dame, which was a good win for them the other night. You would have thought they won the fucking national championship. I mean, every other person in there was whoop, whoop, maroon. And my God. If they're not playing UT, I generally wish them well, but my God, they're obnoxious when they win.
That's what I wanted. I wanted to pull out that little Aggie dig. It's always fun to get it out of Dan. But
Aggie dick or Aggie dick?
No, dig.
Dig. Okay, good.
I know a couple guys who's got.
Again.
Now, I appreciate you guys. Dan, is there anything that you want to cover before we kind of call it for today?
No. It's always a pleasure seeing you guys.
Yeah.
And I appreciate everybody tuning in, and keep those comments coming.
Anthony, appreciate you coming on. Do you have any final words?
Just glad that Dan sported his Ole Miss blazer.
This is an Ole Miss blazer.
Today.
How does it feel? You didn't sign up to work with the TikTok lawyer, but now you work for Big Dog on TikTok.
If you had told me when we met and he offered me a job that this would be happening right now, I'd say get the fuck out of here. I really would.
Do you have any thoughts on these more like the actual quote unquote TikTok lawyers? The Jay, I think Jay Oma's out of Houston.
I'd never heard of that guy.
It was my partner Tommy who could put me on, but he's
a celebrity lawyer. I'm like, what?
He and I developed a friendship through law school.
Nice.
Actually, I had my first intramural mock trial against him. I think the reality is nowadays social media is branding, and you've got to do it. So if he's reaching a lot of people, then he's doing something right. And if the phones are ringing, he's doing something right.
So you got respect for that.
Sure. I do think that in law, especially in our line of work, you've got to respect the practice. You got to respect the bar. And so you want to be tasteful and kind of uphold sort of the ethics of what we do. So it's just you've got to counterbalance that.
And the best way to counterbalance that online, at least, is to put more real guys on, right?
Real guys, real content,
real stories. Yeah.
And the full story.
Totally.
I do want to say this. And if we can be of any assistance to anyone out there, please give us a call or reach out to us. But what I'm seeing over and over and over again is people that are calling here wanting to hire a lawyer, and it's lawyer number 4 or lawyer number 5 or lawyer number 6. And if you've gone through more than 2 or 3 lawyers, the problem may not be with your lawyers. The problem may be with you. And the more lawyers you go through, the more difficult it's going to be for the next lawyer to get your shit back where it needs to be sailed. So it's just unbelievable how many we've gotten, probably at least 100 calls since we started the social media stuff, where people they're on their 5th or their 6th or their 7th lawyer. Yeah. And dude, I can't. If you're on your 7th doctor, the 8th doctor probably can't help you.
Yeah, that's something that I feel like what I love about this type of content that we do with Dan, and hopefully we could do more with you, Anthony, is that it's not like a commercial. It's not a billboard. It's not a bus. It's really getting to know you guys, getting to know Dan specifically, like who he is, his stories, how he thinks about things, how he breaks things down, his seminars, so that it can educate the potential client on who exactly that they're hiring. Because I think most times people get in trouble and they just blindly, find representation with no understanding of who they actually are. And I think that does matter in a people service, right? I mean,
I do. I think you really have to take time to find your lawyer. I know that when people get in trouble, they're scared, and it could lead to knee-jerk decision making. You type in on Google "best lawyer," and whoever's got the algorithm figured out and is getting to the top of the page is probably who's getting that first, second, or third call. But if you know a lawyer that you think's reputable, that might not be a criminal defense lawyer, or might not be a contract lawyer, call them and see if they have a recommendation. Right? There's other ways besides Google search, and I think that's a good method too. But do your research on the forefront.
Totally. And Dan, people seeing the content and reaching out to you, with these calls or DMs or messages. I guess actually this is more for Anthony. Anthony, like how do you position the firm that you work with, Cogdell Law Firm? Like what makes this a place, a destination worth visiting and using as like what makes you guys stick out? Like why Cogdell Law?
Well, Dan,
yeah.
I mean, 4 decades plus of experience.
That's not true. I mean, to interrupt Teeth or Pony, yeah, it's true I got 4 decades, but I hired him for a reason. He's going to have relationships and knowledge of the younger folks over there that I don't have. And that's part of the reason he's here. And I don't expect him to generate much business. I expect to be, the person that generates the business. But he can go in and have a dialogue with a younger prosecutor because they went to law school together, or because they tried cases together as prosecutors, or what have you, that I could never have, right? And they're just going to look at me sometimes like an old guy who should have retired, or an old guy that doesn't get it, or an old guy that they want to beat because he's got a reputation or whatever. And a lawyer Anthony's age and with his skills level is invaluable to me. There's no fucking way I can do this without him.
No.
Now, I'm not going to give him any more fucking money as a result of that.
Yeah, right.
But he's an integral part of this.
Well, unless you bring in some more big fish, right? So I want to.
Sure.
I because my part in term, at least for the clip's sake,
Sure.
is not going to be in it. I'm trying to frame yours, right? So
Sure.
for this specific question I'm trying to ask, or what I'm trying to frame, is like, I actually like what he touched on. So Cogdell Law, Cogdell Law, it's you and it's Dan. It's completely, different generations, different styles, but same mission. Can you kind of talk on that?
Yeah. Well, you have wisdom and sort of the guiding hand in Dan, but there's a lot of day-to-day operations, going to court, having conversations, keeping in constant contact with clients, because the reality is people that are going through this process, we're lawyers, we're counselors though. And it's difficult, and they need to be in contact and be informed. So they've got access to me for a lot of the day-to-day stuff. And I met Dan through working at the DA's office, and so I've been able to leverage my relationships with the people that I do know, and then just, Dan's, through notoriety, could sometimes get a target on his back where I can go in to maybe a couple of prosecutors that are my age that I don't know and sort of see eye to eye more easily with them. But we don't carry, our caseload is not massive in that we don't have 200 clients. We know our clients' first and last name and the facts of their case. We know what they're going through in life outside of their criminal case, and we know who they are. And so I think that's really what makes us unique, in that we're able to give more attention to each case. And when someone's life is on the line, that's what should be demanded.
No, I like that a lot. Dan, what's the experience like having you as a lawyer? Can I text you whenever if I'm your client? Can I reach out to you whenever I want any hour of the day. How are you responsive to that? Like, can you walk me through what that looks like a little bit?
Sure. I want you to text me if and only if it's an emergency, because a text to me creates the belief that it's immediately needs attention. And I've got more than one client. You can email me 24/7, 365, but it's easier for me to keep up with emails and respond to emails that's in a text. And like I try to explain to people, we're a courthouse-heavy firm, and if I'm in trial or I'm in a hearing or I'm in a negotiation on your case, you don't want me looking at my text every 7 seconds because some other client is texting me. So I have staff, we have email, we have receptionists, we have legal assistants, we have all the things that you should have. But unless it's an emergency, please email me or call the office. If it's a text me.
Is there a reason why you've kept it a more intimate kind of dynamic? Like, is there a value to that? Is obviously, like, more payroll, more costs and stuff the more you grow, but can you tell me about maybe it's a little more nimble, it's a little bit more intimate? Like, is there value to the size of your firm right now?
It's responsive to our docket, right? If we have a lot more cases, we'll add more people. If we don't, you gotta eat what you kill, and if your overhead can kill you, you're going to be taking cases just to pay for the overhead, not take the cases you can do some good on, you want to take, right? So it's kind of a chicken or the egg analysis.
I guess my question is less internal operations and more external. So what is the value of me getting representation from a smaller, more intimate firm like yours than a big law firm with all the resources?
Well, for example, Anthony and I have a matter now that will probably resolve through our relationship with the prosecution. And that's part of the reason that we were hired, where up to this point, this same client has had some huge firms represent him. And we joke every day because, it's 2 or 3 very large firms and very nationally known firms. And they don't want to they don't want to solve the problem. They want to create as many layers and nuances to the problem as we can. I mean, literally, we will have a Zoom call and we'll have a text exchange and then a phone call and then a Zoom and then a follow-up call and a follow-up email and rinse and repeat. I mean, we got more done today at a lunch than the client has paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. But that's how big firms get big. That's how they're tall building lawyers. You set up a meeting, you do a memo in advance of the meeting, you have the meeting, you do a follow-up email and analysis, and then you do a couple of calls, and it never ends. It's just unbelievable.
Versus how do you do it?
Pick up the fucking phone call, meet with the prosecutor, and get it done.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's a fee structure thing in part, but I think I have some emails that are where the subject line is call to prepare for the call to prepare. It's like, what are
it's just silly,
and
you'll get a firm that it's kind of a whale of a client, a very successful guy, blah blah blah. But then you'll get the originating firm, and they got 2 or 3 lawyers working on it. And then they bring a specialty firm, right? And they got 2 or 3 lawyers working on it. Then they bring in a subspecialty firm, and they got 2 or 3 lawyers on it. Then they bring in the relationship firm, in this case, which is us, which is kind of rare. And we got 4 firms billing the shit out of the client, and he's more than willing to pay for it. But we're not solving the problem. Do I want to bill the client for my time? Yeah. But I also want to solve the fucking problem and not talk about what we're going to talk about. It drives me nuts.
Yeah. So if someone's reaching out to you and they have all these other lawyers already involved, but they have the means to also hire you, do you ever reject that money because it's like you're not going to solve the problem, or do you just
what I am starting to do is take the position, because I'm old and I only got so many years left. I do have shit to pay for, which is important. But if I can't be the lead lawyer I'm not going to be it. I'm too old to be the part of a team. If I can't be the chief, I don't want to be an Indian. I'm too old to be a fucking Indian, and I don't bring any value as an Indian. They got plenty of fucking Indians.
What
out
about
there.
this guy? Do you send him out to be an Indian, or he needs
He's
to
a
be
teaser
chief?
pony. He's not an Indian.
He's a teaser pony?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we covered everything. I really like that last segment. I think there's a lot there that we can clip up. But Tommy, anything that I didn't ask that you want to ask through me?
Yeah, I can give like a minute.
Yeah. Jump in.
How many upside down Dallas hats you got, Tommy?
How did that become a thing
It's
too?
to stop the scroll, Dan. I have to do it to stop the scroll.
I want to know.
So what did you just say?
I said it's to stop the scroll.
I don't know what that means.
So basically, like on the algorithm, if you stop somebody scrolling, you've got their attention.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're, sometimes you wear a suit and everyone kind of stops. It's like, oh, that's a nicely dressed person.
Right.
If I wear like a bright red shirt, the probability of somebody stopping and watching the video goes up because it's like a bright red shirt. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of science to the. There's a little bit of
They're gonna
science
stop
to
and
the
read it.
madness. There's a little bit of science to the madness, but I'm here. I'm gonna wrap up. We'll wrap up the episodes really quickly. I know you guys have been here for a long time. I was in the back. You don't see me, but now I'm here. I'm kind of like a cold sore. Like you're ready. You're
Like
ready to go.
herpes. You're like herpes.
You're ready to go, but then
You
I
go
just
away, but you come back
I just
at an odd
come
time.
back when when you don't want me to come back.
No,
but I'm
we're
here.
happy to have you.
There's a couple things I wanted to talk about. One was, and we can dedicate a whole episode to persuasion and the art to persuade, but I feel like trial lawyers are like master of persuading. And I would like to get both of y'all's takes on sort of, Dan said on a previous episode that some of the top lawyers sometimes build up their case or tear down the opponent's case. Could you give us sort of like a simple or practical thing when trying to persuade a jury or just trying to persuade somebody in general? When do you shift your brain to what's my opponent's argument versus what's my argument, and sort of like a simple practical, thought process in that?
Well, I think you have to do a combination. I mean, I think cases need theories. I think you have to have a theory of what happened. You got to have a story, and so it's just a combination of interweaving what your story is and also attack. I think you need to do both, and that's what makes them the most successful. I think that's the most successful persuasion. But when to do it, it really just kind of depends on what's happening in the trial. And that's the thing. It's hard to. I don't think there's anything really formulaic about jury trials. I think what makes good trial lawyers is their ability to think on their feet and kind of adapt to what's going on around them. But telling your story, and then when there's a point in your story where you need to attack the relevant opposing counsel's point on the matter that you're talking about during your story, that might be a time where you step back and say, I'd like to touch on, and then do it there. So chronological order can work, but there's.
But do you ask yourself why? Because I know there's a famous book called Why. I think it's like Sam Selleck, or I might be butchering his name, but he constantly looks for the why.
Simon Sinek.
Yeah. Do you ask yourself why or what happened? Is there a certain question that constantly comes back to you when you're trying to build up your case, whether it's a why or a what or a how?
I think why.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the defense. I mean, I think we keep going back to Kerry Birmingham, but that case was not about what, it was about why.
Okay.
It was about why he did what he did. If we're arguing who done it or what happened, then it's not why, it's who, or
Got
it is
it.
what. So
I think
changes.
one of the misconceptions about criminal cases is, again, the idea that it's all orchestrated and very well thought out, and we got plan A, we got plan B, we got plan C, whatever. And I've said this before, but the discovery process, that is the process to allow us to find out about our opposition's case in criminal matters, is far less what it is in civil matters. We don't have the right to take depositions. We don't have requests for admissions. We don't have motions for summary judgment. We don't have many of the procedural tools that you have in civil court. So despite what we think we know, we oftentimes we don't know anything, right? We have access to the offense reports and to the witness statements, but more often than not, a witness in a criminal case isn't going to talk with us if we call them. If there's an eyewitness and it's a murder and we call up that person, they're going to say, fuck off. I don't want to talk to you. And we can't make them, right? We can't depose them. We can't send them a request for information. So what we think we know, Tommy, is way different than oftentimes what actually happens in a courtroom. And so to your point, what I think my plan is going to be, what I think my persuasion, and what I think my offense or what my defense is going to be can change like that, right? And the whole theme of my defense can change very quickly based upon a witness's answer or a witness's position that I didn't anticipate. So is I can go into a trial thinking I've got to attack this witness, and I'm going to win if I destroy their credibility. Well, sometimes I can't destroy their credibility, but their testimony or their version is so different than what that witness says versus what that witness says. I want to just draw out the distinction, the differences between witness 1, witness 2, witness 3. So you can't believe witness 1 or witness 2 or witness 3 because nobody's telling them anywhere near the same country code of a story. So what we think we know and what we think our plan is hardly ever. When we started the Birmingham case, which we've referenced a few times, I'd like to say, oh, that was really smart planning on our part. We wanted 12 women. No, we didn't. We didn't want 12 women at all. We looked at those 12 women and we thought, we're fucked.
Carrie goes, I'm gonna fucking die in here. I said, me too.
And the state was high-fiving each other. We got it. But we discovered pretty well, fairly early on, that those witnesses didn't like the things that the deceased woman was saying about Carrie. So that's where we go, right? It changes. It's very fluid, right? For better, for worse, shit changes fast in a criminal court. Well, how good can my radar be? I've been married 4 times.
Yeah. We kind of know. I think when you spend as much time as we do preparing for a trial, you know the facts cold, and so you have a heightened awareness of whether they're telling the truth or not.
But even in your everyday life, do you feel like you?
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this shit. I have dealt with every bullshit artist in 17 states, right? Can I see bullshit coming from 7 miles away? Yeah. Can I see it coming quicker than I could 20 years ago? Sure. But I think more important than that, Aaron, I believe now more than ever, despite all the differences, despite the cleavage, despite the left versus the right and how divided we are, I think the one truest thing about a jury is they've got great bullshit detectors. And you have to go into it knowing that, right? And again, you look at the comments to just about, they're going to pull the eyes over a jury. They're going to trick them. They're going to deceive them. No, we're not. What we're trying to do in the vast majority of the cases is get witnesses, particularly law enforcement, to tell the fucking truth. Nobody believes that. But that's the truth, is just get them to tell the truth. And look, if you tell the truth, I'm going to quit asking you questions. Right? If I catch you lying, we'll be up there all day. It's the dance is as long as or as short as you want it to be.
Solid.
Yeah.
Last question for me, and I'll start with you, Dan, but it's going to be the same question for both of you.
Well, he's going to have a different answer.
Yeah. I'm curious to know a lesson that you learned that helped you as a lawyer and in your field that you didn't learn in the legal space, whether that's a movie or a show or let's say, a cartoon or anything, or maybe an audiobook, motocross, any sort of lesson that it took,
It's going to be a variation of the 10,000 hour rule. In order to get good at everything, you got to put in the sweat equity. You're never going to get really, really good at anything without just putting in the sweat equity.
And did you know that early on, or did you?
No. I believe that there were naturally talented people that would just gravitate towards greatness because they were the right sperm, right? I no longer believe that.
Okay.
And I see people outside. Some of the people that I respect the most have nothing to do with my legal profession. They're motorcycle racers or whatever. There's a guy named Roger DeCoster who we've talked about. Roger's 82 years old. He's a living legend. You go to a KTM race, and he's the guy literally sweeping up the 18-wheeler at 82 years old, and he's a legend. But that, perfection takes persistence and persistence, right? So it just
At what point in your career did that really hit?
it was a long time.
Okay.
Right. I mean, you look at Tom Brady, you look at anybody, you look at Gretzky, you look at Jordan. All those people at the end of the day will tell you, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, and the only way I'm going to get good is to outwork everybody else. I truly believe that. I mean, yeah, there are one-off, freaks of nature or whatever that just shit comes easy to them, but I don't think Michael Jordan will tell you that he was the best because of instinct or nature or genes. He worked his fucking ass off. And I think any great will tell you that.
What about you, Anthony?
If I understand the question, it's what have I learned to assist me outside of the courtroom?
Yeah. Like, what lesson outside of the courtroom did you learn that's helped you currently as like, oh, wow, this can really help me become a better lawyer, or a better trial lawyer? It could be from a movie or a show or anything.
I've learned over time that
It could be from a breakup, a fight with a girl.
I've just that people have different viewpoints
Okay.
on things than I do. And I've learned that through sitting at bars and having conversations. I learned it in the courtroom, not as a litigant or a lawyer in the case, but sitting in the pew talking about the facts and taking a position on it. And a woman I'd never met before in the pew in front of me having a completely different vantage point and opinion about what happened in the case.
Can you explain what that means? You pew or
Sorry, like the row seat in the
Okay.
seat in the pew. It's kind of like in church how you have long benches.
Got it.
And so I took a position. I thought it was obvious that this is going to be a not guilty and that this didn't amount to manslaughter, and they saw it differently. And what they focused on was different than what I focused on. I was focused on the defendant's perspective during the course of events, and she was focused on the amount of money that was in a purse that was taken at the scene. And I think because I'm not in the case, it's just interesting to exchange in that dialogue with someone I'd never met before who could easily end up on a jury. And so through things like that, again, I said sitting at my family, we grew up in the bar business, and I used to sit at the Irish pub a lot and talk to all different walks of life. People have different viewpoints on things. And the minute you recognize, I think as a lawyer, you've got to kind of see how, you have to anticipate sort of how the masses can view things.
Yeah.
And so just learning.
So the lessons, like, just be open-minded.
Be open-minded and listen to what other people are saying and know that your viewpoint isn't the only viewpoint.
Solid.
Listen, both of you guys look good.
I think as much as lying or seeking the truth, what a carryover from a courtroom to a non-courtroom existence for me is, I hate it when I ask a question, I want you to answer that fucking question. When I ask you what time was it, I want you to tell me it was 8 o'clock. I don't want you to tell me this is my favorite Rolex. My second husband gave it to me, and I had to take it to the repair. And oh my God, I put it in my Lexus and I lost it for a month, and then I had a flat on the way to work. That shit drives me fucking crazy because I spent the better part of my adult life, more or less, in a courtroom asking questions that I want the answer to. And I have absolutely no patience when somebody won't. I mean, if you need an explanation, fine, but answer the fucking question first and then give me an explanation. And it's not a pet peeve or a mantra. It's a necessary for me. It drives me fucking nuts when people won't answer my question.
You know what that reminds me of, actually, Anthony? You have an iconic video that I saw on YouTube. I think it's from the Paxton impeachment trial, where you're basically answer the question. Like I keep on repeating myself, answer the question. Would that sort of piggyback off of exactly what Dan's saying?
I think so. Dan would have been pissed too.
Yeah.
And I know there have been times where I don't answer the question. He will repeat it
Yeah.
in a tone where I'm like, answer the damn question. And, it's
Solid.
I'm imperfect, and, I've engaged in, I can't say that because I'm a truth seeker in the courtroom that I have always done the best about. And I'm not saying that I'm a horrible person, but again, imperfect is the word I would use to describe it. So I could probably, I think, while I've lied before, I think that I have a good viewpoint on the effect that it can have. Lies have consequences, and especially big lies. So I think it's just opened my eyes more so. But people lie, and people are capable. Everyone does it every now and again. And
I think one of the one of the consequences that, and it should have been obvious, but I'm a slow study, is whatever is done in the dark will come out in the light at some point. It might be next week, next year, 50 years from now, but it's so self-evident we don't acknowledge it or recognize it. But whatever you do in the dark is going to come out sooner or later in the light. It just depends upon which light and which day.
Yeah, and kind of like piggybacking off that, it's funny when you tell a lie or you're withholding something. There's an element, and the fallout's going to be bad when it does come to light, as it always does, like Dan pointed out. But there's an element of relief when it comes out, and
not always.
Yeah, not always. Depends
Not
on how
always.
lie. Sometimes there's an element of relief that comes with a lie. But we tell witnesses when we're preparing or when we're kind of doing the walkthroughs of, you got to get out in front of the bad shit. And so don't lie about it. Get in front of it.
It's called hugging the turd,
Yep.
right? And I ask even a new client, before we accept responsibility, one of my questions that I go to is tell me the worst thing a prosecutor can ever prove about you. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it has anything to do with the case. What's the worst thing, right? And because you want to know very early on. I mean, if your client's charged with a white collar fraud case, but they have a massive child porn collection, you still want to know about that massive child porn collection, because the government's going to find out about it, and that can send the case in a wholly different. I had a guy that was charged with perjury in an antitrust case, and it was a pretty defensible perjury allegation, right? He was deposed, and he said some shit that kind of a stretch, but there was a way to explain it. And we found out during the course of the discovery that he had one of the largest granny tranny porn collections on the planet. I did not know there was such a thing as granny tranny porn. Is
that a crime?
There is. Yeah. I don't know if it's a crime, but it's really
Maybe it should have been.
It's feloniously bad taste if it's not. And that sent the case cartwheeling towards a resolution, even though it had nothing to do with the offense, right? And it's just you want to find out the bad shit early on. And to Anthony's point, look, you probably would have said this if he would have had more time before I keep interrupting him. But that's my nature. If your defendant is testifying and he's caught lying about anything, the color of the car, what time of the day it was, what meal he had, if a jury believes you as a defendant are lying about anything, it's game over, because they believe if you'll lie about the little things, you'll lie about the big things. So, I mean, it's really critical in terms of a defendant. It's important for a witness, but if it's a defendant in the case, whatever you do, don't lie. Just that's the worst thing. And people think, well, I'm going to be embarrassed, or my wife doesn't know about this, so I'll shade it, or stuff that has nothing to do with the elements of the defense. If a jury believes you're lying about that, you can go to prison.
Wow. So it's safe to say that in real life, a white lie will come back and haunt you. It's safe to say that in a courtroom, even a small white lie can ruin a case.
In a courtroom for a defendant, there ain't no small white lies. They're all big black ones.
Wow. Solid.
No, this is exactly what I was trying to get.
This has been a great episode. I'm sure we're gonna continue this on. Anthony, thank you for joining us. Dan, do you want to sign us off?
I appreciate y'all's listening, and have a good rest of the week.